Hello and welcome to Talking Games match preview of Liverpool against West Ham United, soon to be champions against soon to be championship. We're here to talk about the game. It feels like we've discussed this fixture not that long ago, Gonzo, but that's because we have. It's not been too long since we last played them, but not a lot has changed.
No, they're. Well, I think maybe we were a little bit lower down in the table than we were. They're a little bit closer to the title than they were. But business as usual. They've had a winter break. We've had, I think ours was cut short slightly, of course, wasn't it? Some people are suggesting, I think because of maybe the languid nature of their victory against Norwich and then the subsequent struggle against the darker arts of Atletico Madrid, that maybe Liverpool didn't benefit from the winter break. Someone suggested that maybe it's sort of stopped their momentum a little bit. I don't know, but that remains to be seen. Hopefully, a very out of sorts Liverpool. That's who we'll face. But a cracking team still, Geo, and are just marching relentlessly towards the Premier League title. They think they're 22 points possibly ahead of Manchester City. That is massive, particularly given that they missed out on a solitary point last season and only lost one game last season in the league. So I guess we should have seen this coming, really.
This preview is sponsored by OneFootball app. The link is in the description below. It is completely free. We're talking about the champions of England. This is the champion of football apps for every football fan. Get it, download it, customize it, use it. I use it every day. You should as well. Link is in the description. Good character from Liverpool to come close, and then you had a feeling last season that they've perhaps missed their opportunity a little bit, and that was as good as it was going to get. But to come back and do even better is just a massive show of character. And they've got a big test of character coming up, though. Obviously, they got beat 1-0 by Atletico Madrid. A lot of fans unhappy with how it occurred, but I think it's fantastic. I think it's part of football. I think when you're going to play against Liverpool, it's the only way you can win, really. You can go toe-to-toe with them, but there's a good chance you get beat a little bit, so you have to be able to win using tactics and gameplay, and that's what Atletico Madrid did. But do you think that they're obviously good second legs at home? Do you think they'll manage to sneak through, or?
I do, because I think they got the ump. Actually, they seemed really annoyed with the way Atletico were playing. There was a lot of barbed comments, and I don't feel from Liverpool that they have an entitlement to win. I don't sense that level of arrogance coming from the players. I sense from the players and from Klopp it was a case of, right, okay, if that's how you want to do it. And it was certainly a feeling that the referee was influenced by the Atletico fans. I think they're pretty much saying, okay, well, let's see how it goes at Anfield on a noisy night in front of 54,000 fans or however many they've got. I really do think they can do it. And do you know what, Gio? I actually want them to do it. I'm not one of these who's going to want a Spanish club to beat an English club. I would like Liverpool to beat Atletico Madrid, because whilst you say it is part of the game, I've got to be honest with you, it's not something I enjoy playing. I enjoy seeing, particularly. I remember, when I watched Barcelona play, people like Daniel Alves and Busquets, and for Real Madrid, Pepe, and people like that. Neymar even, they wind me right up with their gamesmanship and all the rest of it. I don't like to see that win. And also when England were in the World Cup, I mean, we got through against Colombia in the end, but that was as bad as I've seen in terms of outright cheating, basically. So I hope they do beat Atletico.
Yeah, I do as well. I don't mind seeing majority of English clubs doing well in European football. It's not a bad thing for me. I think they'll do it at Anfield. If you're going to do what they did last season against Barcelona, you can't write anything off. I think they've got. I don't sense arrogance either. I do think there's a fine line between arrogance and just confidence and anger. I think they're just angry. They're probably disappointed at themselves as well, because they know they're good enough to beat Atletico Madrid, and who are by all means having a poor season by their own standards in Spain. Do you think, I'm clutching here a little bit, could this work in our favour? The fact that they've got a deficit in the Champions League it's not around the corner. There's another couple of weeks till they play them, but will their focus be shifted at all, do you think?
I think it's the wrong week. I've seen quite a lot of Klopp. He pops up on me, not timeline, whatever. The suggested videos and stuff on YouTube, and somebody. I'm sorry, I've forgotten his name. I've got I've forgotten his name. Somebody suggested a video for me today, and it was all surrounding Liverpool's new training ground, Geo. And it was by, I think it was by Tifo Football, actually, because we know we like those videos. Their videos are very good, aren't they? I'm telling you what, it was absolutely amazing what they were doing with it. And as part of that, we saw an awful lot of Jurgen Klopp. And just listening to the guy getting interviewed, it was Graham, by the way. It was Graham Goodman who recommended it to me, so thank you very much for that, Graham. When you saw him being interviewed, there was just a man with outright purpose, and just not only purpose in the way he was planning this fantastic training ground which they're having built and they're moving into in the summer, but the more I see of him on the videos, the more there is no way that man is going to treat West Ham with anything other than 100% professionalism. And I listened to his press conference now. He was talking about West Ham, and he was already starting to convince himself that we were a good team, having watched the City game. He was saying, oh, well, City scored. He almost suggested that City's goals were a bit fluky, and had they not scored those goals, if you listened to his press conference and hadn't seen the game, you would have thought West Ham were quite close to getting a 0-0 draw out of that. Now, I think it was a bit of blowing smoke up our bum, but I do think he probably speaks like that in front of the players as well. And I don't think he's going to take it lightly at all, mate.
Nah, I don't either, really. I was just putting the question out there, but unfortunately, I think they want to get this title wrapped up ASAP. And I think the way the games are falling at the minute, they're in sort of on course to win the title against Everton as well, and that's got to be a big motivation for them. What other fixture would you want to win your first ever Premier League title, apart from against Everton? The big thing for me is Liverpool keep this momentum going, because after us, I could be wrong, but I think they've got Villa and Watford. So Liverpool have got a massive say in the bottom three in the next few weeks, and I just hope that they don't ever ease off, because it's not going to be against us, it's going to be against whoever is before Atletico Madrid, and I think it might be Watford. And I do worry that Watford are going to benefit if Liverpool beat us and Villa, then rotate heavily before that Madrid game. So it's a bit scary for me. Anyway, last question on Liverpool. The players you admire, the players you fear the most, without going through their whole 11, please.
Mane's back, isn't he? He came back, and I think maybe he even got the winner against Norwich. So he came off the bench, I think, for that one. Such a good player. Going to probably up amongst a few others for player of the season.
I was about to say, do you think he'll win it?
I wouldn't argue. You know me, I don't watch a ton of football, and so there'd probably be somebody else who I've not thought of. But he's got to be in there with a shout, and I don't mean that. He's got to be in the shout up the top 2 or 3, hasn't he? Really, he's been absolutely brilliant. I think Firmino's looking pretty damn slick at the moment as well, I've got to say. You know what I think about him. I don't think he's the most prolific striker in the world, but as a hub, as a metronome, as somebody that links things together, and as an important player, I really do think he's in really good form. Salah is... It's funny, you see, you think Salah's out of form, isn't it? But, I've seen him do some pretty neat things, moves his feet ever so quickly as well. And of course, as you say, without going through the whole team, I think Fabinho being back is probably quite important, because it sort of liberates Jordan Henderson a little bit. I really like Alisson. I think it might have been... It was either the Norwich game or the Atletico game.
It was Norwich. I know
where he got to pour down, and it was a cat-like reflexes, Geo, of course, as we speak about. But he did almost pour it away, and I'm not sure anybody else would have tried to make the save in that way. It was almost like a weird movement. Very good player. Well,
the funny thing is, Fabianski had a similar situation against Jesus and took his arms away, took his arms back, and said, well, I'm not going to commit myself. When Alisson did more, he leapt across and intercepted the pass and stuff. I thought, wow, I've not seen the keeper do something like that before, without conceding a penalty. But Fabinho, for me, has just been fantastic this season for Liverpool. Henderson's actually out for this game. He's out for 3 weeks now. So instead of getting beat 3-0 with Henderson as captain, we're going to get beat 3-0 with James Milner as captain. That's the only difference, really. But yeah, I mean, you can praise as many as you want. Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold pair of the best fullbacks. But in the last previous set, I say again, I think Joe Gomez is still England's best centre-back. been the player that's impressed me the most from Liverpool this season. I don't think he's been their best player. I think that's Mane. But Gomez, not surprised me, but who do I think has really upped their game from last season to this season? I would say Joe Gomez for me. I think he's been brilliant. And Southgate should be looking at who to partner, probably Harry Maguire, but he should really make Joe Gomez the first name in the team sheet in that England back four. But anyway, moving on to West Ham. Team news first of all, a bit obvious really. Yarmolenko's still not fit enough, so we can't include him for Monday night. And Ryan Fredericks has done something to his ligaments in his shoulder, so he's going to be out for the foreseeable future, which means no Ryan Fredericks on Monday at Anfield. So, Gonzo, do you want to do the team first? Or do you want some of Moyes' words of wisdom? I've not got the quotes, but I can tell you what he roughly said in his press. We'll do the team first, because I don't want to...
Okay, before I do, let me just correct you there. You said Fredericks did something to his ligaments.
Yeah.
Rodri did something to Fredericks' ligaments, if I may be so bold. Dirty swine. Not you, Rodri. My team, you want my team?
Yeah, go for it. Crack on.
Okay, forget three at the back, obviously, as we both
agree.
I
was about to say, can you play three at the back without Ryan Fredericks? I mean, there's a case for Ngakia in there, but...
Can you play three at the back with Ryan Fredericks? Should Moyes ever play three at the back again? The questions are so big and don't necessarily concern Ryan Fredericks. He must stop. For those of you that don't know, Geo will tell you this. We played four at the back against Bournemouth. We won by 1 million goals, and we were subsequently switched formation, and we keep losing. We switched it, as Geo will kindly remind you, against Brighton. The first half we started with four at the back. We were 3-1 up. We switched to three at the back. We conceded another 2 goals. It's not working. There we go. So we go with four at the back.
I agree.
Pardon?
I agree. That's mine as well. I agree.
I'm going to go with Ngakia. Is that how we pronounce his name?
Ngakia, something like that.
Ngakia. Yeah. I am going to put Balbuena back in. I'm going to put Balbuena next to Ogbonna, obviously, with Cresswell at left back. I'm going to play a midfield three of Souček, Declan Rice, and the Fornicator, Pablo the Fornicator Fornals. I'm going to have a front three, or whatever you want to call it, of Bowen, Antonio in the middle, and Felipe Anderson on the left. And that's my team. It's not going to be David Moyes' team, but that's my team.
I've got two different from you out your starting 11. The right back, I've put Zabaleta in there because I think Zabaleta's fine in a flat back four when there is not a question of pace, and I don't think he's going to get far enough forward to get caught out. Well, he shouldn't get far enough forward. Because the halfway line is far forward as you get, Pablo. You do not move further forward than the halfway line. Do not try and attack on the right back position. Just stay there and don't give Mane space to run in behind. Do that, you'll do all right. You'll compete well against him. Because I keep saying this, but I think his positioning is still class. I think his attitude, his professionalism, his hard working. I think everything about him is class. The only thing that's letting him down is lack of pace. So take away the pace factor, he's fine. And the other change I've got from you is I've put Sebastian Allaire back in there, and I've kept Anderson out. So my front three would be Bowen, Allaire, and Antonio. Because I think you've got to win it in the air against Liverpool. You've got to go direct. You've got to hit them long. And I think Sebastian Allaire is the best man to do that. But Antonio and Bowen, in my system, has got to get extremely close to him. Not right wing and left wing. I'm talking inside forwards or whatever. Basically what Liverpool do with Mane and Salah. They don't stand out on the touchline. They get in close to Firmino and say, let's play this quick passing football or whatever. That's what we've got to be doing. Toe to toe with Liverpool, essentially. It's a bit scary and it's not going to happen. But it's what I'd like to see, and it's what you like to see as well. But Fornals' exclusion, are you a bit confused by this? Because since it's come out since the game that he's not injured, Moyes just don't like him.
Yeah, I read the article today and thought of you as well, because you said obviously in the build up that you pretty much said he better be injured because if he just left him out. Well, he wasn't injured, as you just said. It's absolutely bizarre, and he does like to leave people out. And again, I must credit somebody with a comment on a video, although I've forgotten who said it, but somebody made a really good point on a video in the comments section, and they said it's funny how he doesn't because he's mentioned about Bowen as well, which is obviously one of the comments you're going to allude to. He still doesn't think Bowen's quite ready. Now, the excuse he's giving is that even though he's played lots of games in the Championship, even though he's match fit, he just doesn't think he's ready and he's not acclimatised quite to the football as yet. As somebody else said, he seems okay dropping Sorchek in there. So what does he honestly think? He obviously thinks that the Czech League readies you for Premier League football far more than the Championship. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. And I do apologise because whoever said that deserves that comment, deserves their name to be read out. But I thought, well, hold on. I think Bowen's 23 as well. It's not a 17-year-old kid. You've got a wrapping cotton wool. So, as I say, I know your question was about Fornals, but did he not mention? He said, I left Fornals out for that one, but he'll be involved in the squad at this point. I honestly, with every utterance that comes out of that man's mouth, I get more and more concerns, Gio.
Well, I might have some hope for you here. I'm not going to be quoting Moyes direct because I'm not wrote it all down. I've had to write down his whole transcript from his press conference. So I'm going to give you an idea of what he said. I'm going to give you the gist. And he basically said that he thought we did all right. He thought we did excellent against City. At times we defended well in that. However, what was interesting, and I'm clinging to this with a little bit of hope here, and I'm going to give you some potentially false hope, but he says we need to do better with the ball and counter-attacking. We weren't good enough. We need to do better counter-attacking. Now, I'm hoping that is hinting at changes. I am hoping he's looked at that and thought, okay, we were too slow, so I need to inject some pace in there. We're going to counter-attack, we need pace, and I'm hoping that is going to lead to some changes. I've read his press conference, and I'm a little bit please. I don't think it'll be Bowen that starts. I think if he starts anyone, it'll be Felipe Anderson. He might go Anderson and Antonio up front rather than Snodgrass. I think that might be his change. But we'll wait and see. Right, I'm going to ask a question that's caused a lot of controversy. The City game, the City result, as in the scoreline, has caused a lot of debate over the last few days. So I'm going to kick this off. And this is a question for the viewers as well. So get your answer in the comments below. Gonzo, is a 1-0 defeat at Anfield a good result?
No, it's not a good result because, unfortunately, there were results that we should have won earlier on in the season. I mean, more recently in the season, Brighton. Take your results, Burnley, and any one of these games. If you've won those games, then maybe a loss to Liverpool is a good result. But you can't take the context out of an evaluation. And we have to evaluate our situation as to where we are now. And the situation is now is not as it should be. It should be Liverpool are the best team in the world. Okay? Yeah. They probably are. The stats show it. They've got the trophy to demonstrate that. We shouldn't be needing to get something from the Liverpool game. We possibly do, because as I said before, we are counting. We have got all our hens, not all our hens in one basket. I'm mixing my metaphors up. We got eggs. We got all our eggs in one basket. A lot of eggs in a small basket. We have to beat Burnley. We have to beat Southampton. We have to beat Aston Villa. We've probably got to get something from Wolves. You can't bank on all those things happening. There's no evidence from before any point in the season to suggest those 3 or 4 things are going to happen. We need 4 wins, it seems. You cannot accept that you're just a 1-0 loss against Liverpool is going to do it. All of these counter arguments are predicated upon that happening, and they're also predicated upon the fact that it will go down to goal difference anyway, which it may not do. And also, it tells a little lie, Gio. The 2-0 loss to Man City suggests that it was tight. No, it should have been 4 or 5-0. We had a structure at the back. We had 5 and then we had a 4. All it takes to beat that, because it doesn't really work for the amount of times. As I said, we conceded chances right in front of our goal. They weren't limited to 25-yard shots. They were getting right in front of our goal. I'll tell you how they were doing it. If I thought anyone watched these videos, I wouldn't say it. They were doing it. You can easily bypass our defence with quick 1-2s. Pass and move. Do a triangle. You're through. That's what happens. It happens countless times. And for that reason, we cannot go into this game thinking we'll keep the goal difference down.
I think it's only a good result with the benefit of hindsight. If you stay up on goal, if we lost 1-0 and we stayed up on goal difference by 2 goals, then you look back at Anfield and go, that was a good result in the end, because that might have helped us stay up. But I've had a bet with someone, just between me and this person, that someone in the bottom 5, as it stands, will beat either Liverpool or Man City between now and the end of the season. I've included both teams. They've said no one will beat City. They've said no one will beat Liverpool. So I said, well, they might do. Once they've won the league, if they're still in champion, they might take the foot off the gas, right? And also City as well, because they're there to be got at. And some team will be not more desperate than us, because we are desperate. Someone would be more willing to throw caution to the wind and risk trying to get points. We're worrying about goal difference, and that, like you said, it might not come down. I do believe someone's going to go down goal difference, but someone would rather gamble and stay up on points than goal difference, and I think that's going to... I would not be surprised if we were to go down. The team that's just above us has actually beaten Liverpool or Man City at some point in the season. Maybe not Liverpool, but they might have beaten Man City or Spurs away or something. They would have beat one of the big 6 on their own patch that we've gone there and thrown, essentially, and then we're going to look at it and go, well, that's what you get if you accept defeat. So it's a funny old one, but I just think it's an interesting question because it split social media. And obviously, when we did our review, a few people in the comments, which is their opinion, they're right to that, said 2-0 is an alright result. We'll take that because it's the games against Southampton, Burnley, and that is what's going to keep us up. Are you optimistic for this one?
No, you can't be optimistic for this one at all.
You can't be. They lost their last game, and the game before that, I watched them against Norwich, and I'm not saying they struggle, but Norwich
went for that far more than we will go for it.
See, I don't know, because I remember watching that thinking Norwich were very organised, had lots of huff and puff, but they didn't really do much, I don't think Alisson had that one moment where he had to do it, but apart from that, I don't recall him having a save to make, really. I just think Liverpool were quite lethargic, they were quite slow, but they still won, because this is why I think Liverpool is arguably one of the most impressive teams in Premier League history, and that is because they win in any way. They can do the pass and stuff, and that's not working. They can go long. They're very versatile, but Norwich kept them out for a long period in that game.
I would be confident, Geo.
Optimistic.
Sorry?
Optimistic, not confident.
Okay. Yeah, okay. You're right to correct me. I would be optimistic if I thought we would go there and make it difficult for them. And here's really the point in it. If you're going to be a defensive team, if you're going to set up defensively, then surely the aim is to make it difficult for the opposition. We set up defensively and don't make it difficult for the opposition. Now, for those people that do think the 2-0 was a good result, the 2-0 loss to Man City was a good result. Again, I totally accept that. Well, what I would ask them was, okay, you think that's a good result. Do you think we made it difficult? Because I don't think we did. I think they were through on us within 3 minutes. Then they cut us open again. I just think it's easy, and I just wish we would go there. Even if we are going to do it defensively, do something. Just do something to make it difficult, to make them think, make them have a hard night. Manchester City didn't have to get out of second gear. You called it a training game. You give it whatever cliche you want. If Liverpool are going to win this game, can we at least make them work hard? Because regardless of whether Norwich attacked much or whether or not they didn't, they still made them work hard. Liverpool still had to be a little bit wary because Campbell was taking the ball on and he was travelling up the pitch with it at his feet and flicking it on and being quite bright. And we spoke earlier about the Alisson save where he poured it away. It was also a bad decision. The geezer shouldn't have passed it. The geezer should have tucked that away, whoever made the pass. They made it difficult. They made it awkward. And I think the later it got on, I was watching a game. I was thinking, well, I don't know if Liverpool are going to get a goal. He had to bring Barney on. They got one. It was a good finish. It even got VAR, the goal as well. And even at that point, I bet all the Liverpool fans were, I bet the old bummer was twitching like a rabbit's nose, and they were thinking, hold on a second, let's, I'm a bit worried here. Let's give them something to worry about. If we could do that, I'd be more optimistic. I don't think we're going to trouble them.
I'd be optimistic if we had something when we entered their half with the ball, which is not very often. So when we do, we've got to have something. And if that is a front two of Anderson and Antonio, I'd be a bit optimistic. I think, hang on a minute, a lucky break, they can cause some damage here. If we sit out with the same team, just replacing Frederick Zabaleta against Liverpool, my optimism is going to be null and void before we've even kicked off again. But if we were to change it, because I actually thought against City, when we ran at them, actually, I thought it was quite even numbered. I thought we almost had 3 versus 3 at one point. But the problem is, by the time we got to 18-yarder, it was 3 West Ham versus 6 because they'd all got back because our players weren't fast enough to get up the pitch with them. So I think I've watched Liverpool enough. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is world-class going forward, but I don't think he's a world-class defender defensively. I think he's there to be got at. I think they're both fullbacks are. I saw Wolves play them. Traore was on the bench for whatever reason, but when he came on for the last 10-15 minutes and they put him up against Robertson, he had Robertson booked like that. Robertson was in the yellow card, he couldn't keep up with him, and Traore just kept going at him, and Robertson was having to back off so much. Traore was just getting crosses in willy-nilly, and we have a player exactly the same as Traore, perhaps not as the finished article, in Antonio. Now, the blueprint is there. Get Antonio wide and get him up against their fullbacks, because there's no point putting Antonio up against Van Dijk. Van Dijk is just as strong as Antonio. He can read the game 3 times better than Antonio. If he gets beat the first time by Antonio for pace or power, next time Van Dijk will drop 2 yards and say, "Well, you're not using your pace against me. You want to let's play a game of football at defeat because I'm going to beat you at that." So let's use Antonio out wide, but we need to have someone in the middle, and this is why I would have Sebastian earlier. Then you need someone there. But am I optimistic? No, not really. So with all that said and done, Gonzo, can I get your final thoughts and your score prediction, please, for Monday night?
Yeah, I think we're going to try and do much the same, which is just try and keep the goal difference down. I think aim low, you get low. You've got to have some sort of ambition in, I was going to say football, anything. You've got to have some sort of ambition to achieve anything in anything. I think if our ambition is not to lose the game by very much, it could well go completely wrong and we lose the game by very much. So I think that could happen. Maybe it just falls somewhere in between and we lose 3-0.
I'm going to say 2-0. I think it'll be very much the same as the home game. I called the home game perfectly, and I think it's going to be the same. We're going to come out and keep it really tight, concede a goal, then we're going to come out and play a little bit more, concede another one, and then, oh, bugger this, everyone back, no, we're not doing this, everyone back in, no more of this, let's have an attack at them. So I think it'll be a comfortable 2-0 victory for Liverpool Monday night. Now, before everyone disappears, we've had a lot of people saying, how do you get one of those polo shirts? This one's not Gonzo's jumper, this polo shirts that we've made. They're pre-sale only. They're too expensive. We can't afford to buy stock, essentially. So it's pre-sale only. If you want one, email us, hammerschat@gmail.com. The email's in description as well for a reminder. They're £27.50 plus postage and packaging, but we will post them worldwide, so it doesn't matter where you are. So email us. We'll give you the sizing guide and all the terms and conditions and whatever. But you've got 2 weeks to get your order in, because after 2 weeks we are cutting it off and ordering whatever's been ordered, and that's all we're ordering. We're not going to have any stock. Can't afford it. Anyway, Gonzo, I'll see you on Monday night before the game for a little look at the lineup.
Be exciting. So yeah, read the team out. Be nice. Looking forward to seeing that 4-4-2 or whatever it is.
To concern you a bit more, just to give you something else David Moyes said to concern you. He also said that we tried to win at City. So that lineup and game plan we had was to win. But anyway, I was hoping to leave on a positive. Anyway, let's disappear. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new around here. And we'll see you on Monday night at 7 PM for the build-up shows. We'll be taking a look at the lineups. Catch you in a bit.